Mr. Shadow, this is my terrible experience with the unknown. The worst is that it also affected my little boy. So hang in there and listen to my story. My husband Sven and I lived together with our 4-year-old son Charlie in a quiet small town in central Sweden. We lived a typical family life. We both worked, and Charlie went to kindergarten. But I was expecting a child and would soon start being at home, and chose so that Charlie could also be at home with me. When I had my last day of work and picked up Charlie from kindergarten, his kindergarten teacher asked, "Who is Mr. Shadow?" "I have no idea." "What do you mean?" I replied. "Well, Charlie has been mostly to himself today. He was walking around alone in the clearing here next to the playground. So I ran over and asked him to stay within sight with the other children. But he replied that he wanted to play with Mr. Shadow instead." The teacher explained. "I'll check with Charlie on the way home," I told the teacher. So in the car on the way home, I asked Charlie, "Who is Mr. Shadow?" "He's my new friend." "Okay, that's nice. Where did you meet him?" "I met him at the playground yesterday when we were playing outside." "What does Mr. Shadow look like?" "He is tall like Dad and is completely black." "Okay, is that why his name is Mr. Shadow?" Charlie nodded at me. "But you know you can't talk to strangers, right?" "Yes, but Mr. Shadow is my friend." Then we didn't talk much more about it, just the everyday. If he had a good day at kindergarten and what he wants to eat when we get home. Of course, he chose pancakes. The day went by, and in the evening I told Sven about what the kindergarten teacher had said, and about Mr. Shadow. Sven thought it was nothing to think about, because now Charlie will be home anyway. The next morning we had breakfast together, before Sven had to go to work. Charlie was still sleeping, so I took the opportunity to clean up a bit. I went and daydreamed about how nice it will be to be home, and that Charlie will have a sibling soon. After a while, I hear Charlie laughing. So I thought, great, Charlie wakes up in a happy mood. I called out, "Good morning, Charlie," and expected him to come running with a hug. But he never came, so I went to check on him. And on the way there, I hear him laughing and talking to himself. When I got to his bedroom, I could see him sitting on the bed. "Good morning, Charlie. Did you sleep well?" It took a while before he replied that he had. "What are you doing?" I show Mr. Shadow my Legos. Charlie was a sweet child, with an imagination that knew no bounds. So I thought, okay, Mr. Shadow is just an imaginary friend. I played along and said, "Okay, but tell Mr. Shadow you're going to have breakfast now." Charlie went along without a fuss, and the whole day went well. A few nights later, when I got up to get a glass of water, I heard talking and laughing again. So I went to check on him. There I could see Charlie sitting in the dark on his bed, talking into nothingness. I walked over and asked, "Can't you sleep?" And Charlie said no. Mr. Shadow woke me up. So I laid down next to Charlie and stroked his hair until we both fell asleep. Suddenly, I woke up to a loud bang and looked up to see the silhouette of a man. I screamed in horror and saw the man quickly disappear from there, whereupon Sven came running wide awake. "What is going on?" Sven asks, and I answer resignedly. "There is a man in the house. I woke up to a noise and saw him standing at the door." Sven runs to look and I shout, "Wait, be careful." I stay in the room with Charlie. A while later, Sven comes back with a hammer in his hand, which he armed himself with. "Are you sure? I've checked the whole house and nothing is broken." "Yes, I'm sure I saw a man." And I woke up to a loud bang. "You probably just had a nightmare," Sven answered. The rest of the night we all three slept in our bed. The following nights, Charlie kept waking up and talking to Mr. Shadow. So finally, Charlie got to sleep with us, and it got better. But he continued to play with his imaginary friend during the days. There seemed to be no danger. Many children apparently have imaginary friends. But everything would soon take a different turn. Things moved, and you couldn't find them. Car keys and wallets. You always had to look for them even if you were sure where you saw them last time. So of course, I finally asked Charlie if he is the one hiding the things, but he always blamed Mr. Shadow. I started seeing things in my peripheral vision, quick shadows, but blamed it on tiredness. But one night I woke up and I heard footsteps. "Do you hear?" "It sounds like footsteps," I whispered to Sven. He could also hear it. Charlie was sleeping between us. We got up, and Sven started sneaking out of our bedroom to hear more clearly. When we suddenly hear a crash and lots of other noises from Charlie's room. Sven rushed towards the room, and then called me. The whole room was upside down, toys were everywhere, and the shelf was on the floor. The bed had also moved. We checked the whole house and found no trace of any intruder. "What the hell?" wonders Sven. And I asked, should we call the police? And Sven answered a little funny. "And say what?" "That our son's room is messy." We both laughed a little and thought we'll deal with it tomorrow. A couple of days later, when I was fixing things in the kitchen, then I heard Charlie scream in pain, and he came running crying. "Oh, sweetie, have you hit yourself?" But Charlie said no and showed his arms. Then I looked with despair. He had big red handprints on his little arms. So I said, "Baby, what happened? Who has done that to you?" "Mr. Shadow did it. He got angry with me and started shaking me," Charlie answered. I felt such discomfort. I started thinking about Mr. Shadow, if he was real, and all the other strange things that have happened lately. So I called Sven and told him everything and asked him to come home earlier from work. He didn't really believe me until he got home and saw Charlie's arms. We discussed everything that had happened and the only reasonable explanation we could come up with. Although we also thought it sounded crazy, that the house is somehow haunted. Sven got angry and started shouting, "Come at me instead. What kind of thing hurts little children?" I understood the anger and helplessness, but asked Sven to calm down for Charlie's sake. I didn't want to cause him any more fear. I have a little sister who is interested in the paranormal. She deals with some kind of necklace with a crystal pendant. I never believed in that myself, but thought I'd call and tell her about our experiences. She said that she would talk to her mentor about it and that she would call as soon as she could. The days went by, and we had a few different activities at home. Unexplained footsteps, things that fell over on their own. But one evening when all three of us sat and watched TV and had a cozy Friday, suddenly the TV turned off. We thought maybe one of us sat on the remote control. But no, it was on the table. When Sven reached for it, the TV suddenly turned back on by itself, and the remote control flew off the table before he could grab it. I jumped in fear and held Charlie. He was also scared, but perhaps mostly by my reaction. I thought, I can't take it anymore. It can't be good for my pregnancy. That same evening, I called my sister again and told her that everything is getting worse and that I need help now. She promised to come the next day. The following morning, Sven drove Charlie to his grandmother so she could look after him overnight. We didn't want him here with us for security reasons. My sister and the medium came, and they wanted to start right away with as little information as possible to see what they could come up with. The medium hit everything right. Which room I saw the shadowy man, about keys and things that disappeared. According to the medium, Charlie had met Mr. Shadow outside the kindergarten, and that the spirit had followed us home. She made contact with Mr. Shadow. He had died a horrible death in a fire not too far from kindergarten many years ago. She told Mr. Shadow, who actually had a normal name, that he cannot stay and he must move on towards the light. The four of us formed a ring and held hands, and the medium performed some type of prayer. And after that, it was over. We had no more experiences of the unnatural. And 2 months later, I gave birth to another son who gave us all a lot of joy, and we could go on as usual in life. Of course, I will always remember. Hope Charlie doesn't. Have you ever had an imaginary friend? Maybe it was a ghost too. Well, that's another one for the books. Please like and subscribe. You are awesome. Nighty night.